listening to the fathers of the city who are here so that they can give us their experiences in some of the questions that have been posed here. We have them here, and I want to invite them to come so that they can sit on the podium together with Commissioner Chesire. We have Bishop Dr. Sami Gitari. He's the presiding bishop of the Gospel Celebration Center. Let's appreciate him. He's a prolific writer. I've actually read some of your books right from very early, and a popular TV preacher with many sermons. Just search on his YouTube. You'll get many of his sermons out there. We have Bishop Stanley Mwalili, the presiding bishop of Green Pastures Tabernacle. And I think we were told people God for green pastures. So I think pastors go to church when they cannot get what they need in their churches. He has the green pastures over there. And then we have the father of the city, Bishop William Twimison, with us here also in the city. And we want to appreciate you. We feel deeply honored, men of God, to be here just to answer a few questions from these humble servants of the Lord as they listen to your experiences. So I offer to you, Commissioner Sharon.
Thank you very much. The panelists will just ask us a few questions, specifically about your experience. So let me start. What is one of your greatest joys of being an expected bishop? Okay. You want to imagine life is all rosy for you, but by any chance, is there any pain point?
Yeah, first of all, I would like to thank God very sincerely for this opportunity, calling me to come and be with you. My name is Bishop William Twimison. I minister with Deliverance Church. I think most of you call it Deliverance Church. I'm one of the founders of Deliverance Church. Deliverance Church was founded in 1970, 22nd of November. And before Deliverance Church was founded, I was still ministering somewhere else. I was ministering with African Gospel Church, which is basically in Kenya. So I ministered now this year for the last 62 years.
Wow.
That is from 1962, before independence in this country. I've been preaching. Praise the Lord. I'm preaching 8 years now. Well, I would like to thank God because, it has been quite a journey. And I thank God because I led the church for 22 years, and I handed over to somebody else who is the present leader now. If somebody was to ask me, why did you hand over? Because that was the question that I was asked when I was handing over. Because I was still strong. They said, why did you hand over when you were still strong? I gave a very interesting answer, which is still the same answer, and that is, in any position you are holding, you are not successful until your successor succeeds. You are not successful until your successor succeeds. So I wanted to hand over to somebody else and watch him successful before I declare myself successful. So I would like to challenge all of you, in whatever position you are holding, even if you are a pastor, you are not successful in that position until your successor has succeeded. However, there are challenges. There are challenges, I don't know what exactly the other question is. There are challenges in the ministry. One of the greatest challenges in the ministry is people's expectation from you. Let me tell you, when you are in any position, there are certain things that the people expect from you. If you don't fulfill them, they will consider you a failure. That is one of the greatest challenges. Expectation from you. And you know why I'm saying that is because you are a human being, like everybody else. And because you're a human being, you don't know everything. In fact, I was sharing with my brother here that in this world, if you want to be a good speaker, be a good hearer. You listen before you speak, and that you will be successful. So one of the challenges is people's expectation. In other words, they put you in a position where you're supposed to know it all, and yet you're a human being. You will not be able to know it all. Another thing that I also comes as a challenge is when God has used you to speak in a powerful manner, and people are blessed, people expect you to continue the same. And yet you're a human being. If we have people have cried because they've been touched by the message. Anytime you speak, people expect you to say the same standard, and yet you're a human being. So I thank God because I have always gone to God before I go to men. That's a very important point. Before you speak, may you appear before God first. Because sometimes you use what we call experience. You say that last year I spoke and people were crying. I would still repeat the same message and people must cry. They will not. They will not, because that is not the right message for the right people at the right time. So it is good to be very close to God at all times. That when you stand, is that the right message? If it is the right message, is it for the right people? If it is the right people, is it for the right time? In other words, may you be relevant in all that you are doing. So that is what I have discovered, that is a challenge that is expectations from you.
Thank you very much. Quite some nuggets of wisdom there. So let me help you do the summary. First nugget. You are not successful until your successor
succeeded.
That is the first one. Number 2, if you want to be a good speaker, be a good listener. Third thing that Bishop has said, you are a human being and you don't know it all. Number 4, he has said, good performance hastens expectations of you. Yeah. And then number 5, he says, go to God before you go to men. Thank you. Bishop Mwalimu, the Gen Z generation has expressed a strong interest in taking on leadership roles within the church. Based on your experiences building Green Pastures Tabernacle Church, do you think Gen Zs understand what it takes to build a church into a thriving and enviable ministry? What advice would you give?
Thank you so much, as he is seated. I want to first of all request that you allow me to break Bishop's president of standing so that I speak while seated. He already said that president that he stood.
Yes.
And I want to know if it's okay for me to speak while seated.
It is okay to break it. I didn't. I also stood after him.
Yeah, because I honor him so much.
Yes.
That if I sit, I look like I'm better than him.
Like we say, uniformed forces, permission granted.
Much appreciated. First of all, thank you so much. I'm really honored to be in the company of this great man of God. Bishop is not only I was telling him he's not actually my father, he's actually my grandpa. Because I started ministry to Green Pastures, and the people he handed over the church to are the ones who raised me. So that tells you that really seated. In fact, I thought you should have sat next to him. It's better that way. Now, this man here was my Bible school teacher. He taught me preaching 101. So you can imagine the situation I'm in. Now, when you are asked a question about Gen Z, you've got to be so careful because you don't know if they are going to watch this video. I don't know if they are. Their greetings are not very nice. I would honestly tell you that Gen Zs definitely, there is something they know and they have some ideas, but sincerely, I think there are quite a number of things they do not appreciate because it takes a lot of time and effort to build institutions and to get things where they are. And it is easy to see mistakes and problems in things that are already done. And that's why my thinking is that the Gen Z need to appreciate that we need a cross-generational approach to issues, and so that where Bishop Timising seated can see, a Gen Z cannot see even when they are on top of a tree. There is something wise people and wisdom, brings out. And that's why in a family, you find that in the same family there can be an infant, a toddler, a teen, a youth, a middle-aged person, a grandpa, and a great-grandpa, and all of them are in the family. God allows the system of human beings to coexist because we all need each other. And so if I was to speak to the Gen Z, I'll tell them that yes, they have done very well. They have actually done what we couldn't do and questioned things that we couldn't because of our circumstances. Some of us grew up under very difficult circumstances where we were only told we are there to be seen and never to be heard. and we've been threatened so many times that we learned to accept things the way they are. But them is different. They have grown up at a time when they were not threatened by anybody. They could question anything. But for us, it's not that we are afraid. It's just that our context and our culture was different, and we appreciate that. So I think I would advise that they need to appreciate that, yes, we may be wrong, but even as we correct what we have corrected, we also need to work with them, because there are things we know, there are pains we've been through. When people come to Green Pasture, they see things happening, and they sometimes even want to dismiss things we have done. And they don't understand that what they see has been built on tears and sacrifices of people that really have labored for so many years. And so it is very painful when somebody has been doing something, a younger person comes, and then instead of saying, let's continue what has been done, wanaanza kusema kazi ianze. Unajua, kazi inatakiwa kuendelea, sio ianze. Because when you say ianze, it's like you're saying whoever has been here has done that. And I think that's what Gen Z need to know, that the leaders who have been here, yes, there have been mistakes, there have been very, very grave mistakes that need to be corrected. But as they are corrected, they need to appreciate that there are people who have labored, worked very hard to create the things we are trying to correct. Thank you, madam.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Nuggets of wisdom, cross-generational approach to issues. And then the second one is, in whatever leadership capacity, provide that leadership in love and correct based on the foundations that have already been set. Bishop Gitari, you were recently consecrated as an archbishop. What motivated you to pursue this role? And what differences or privileges come with being an archbishop compared to your previous position?
Well, maybe I should correct. I was not consecrated archbishop. I'm
Yes.
presiding.
Okay.
Presiding. My
Presiding bishop.
presiding.
Sorry about
So
that.
there's quite a bit of difference. But I want to begin by saying service and growth demands changes. I'm a founder of our church. And when we began, there was only one pastor. That was me. And only one congregation. That was mine. And as we kept starting other churches that were coming, it became necessary to increase leadership, both from the low level to leaders, elders, deacons, then pastors. And as the churches kept growing, we needed to also expand our structure, because a church is as useful or effective as the systems and structures you establish. If your system, if your structure is too big for you, it will crash. If it is too small for you, it will also crash. So, as a pioneer, that's how my ministry goes. I'm a pioneer by nature. So, when we grow to certain levels and our structure is no longer serving us, we interrogate it. And we say, is it time to expand so that new people come in, new needs are taken care of, new territories are pursued. So at this season of our life, we had grown to where it was no longer tenable to have one person learning the whole country. So we structured to have other bishops learn different areas, and then I preside over them. So, and there's a big change because I am donating too much of what I used to do. I am tempted to actually be everywhere because I was always everywhere. But I am also relieved to see I have not been somewhere for 2 years and everything is better than I was doing. That's a relief for me. I am also relieved to see that there are other people who can do what I've been doing all along. And but sometimes I feel like some are too slow. But that's part of growing. So at the moment, what I think is the difference from what I was doing is I'm involved in more policy, more mentorship, more development of others than being at the driving wheel every day. And this has been like my life because this is, I have been preaching now for 47 years. And when I began, I was a freelance preacher, so I went everywhere. Then I joined a denomination and became a pastor for a little bit of time, about 15 or so. And I outgrew where we were. I think I could qualify to have been a Gen Z at that time. You know, because I was young, vibrant, energetic, and I didn't like some of the things the older people were doing. But it didn't take long before I also became old. You know, and people had trouble with me, and I had to catch up with this. Just to add to what Marie said a little bit, I found that the Gen Zs are not doing anything quite new. It's just it is labeled differently and articulated differently. The Gen Zs are probably asking questions that we are not hearing because of their fanfare and their method. There's a time in our church I found only people who were old. When they go to Form 4, Form 3 and above, they left. All of them and always. And I had elders and pastors whose children were going to other churches because they were not fitting in ours. And I thought, this is not fair. Our children are revolting against us. And they will come with their parents to church. And as soon as the parents get into church, the guys will leave. So I was much younger then. So I called them. I said, it's not right for you to leave our church and go to other churches. They said, oh, your church is boring. And so we had to deal with their culture. They knew the culture of Sheng and Kang, the baggy clothes, plaster, strange walk styles. And those fellows were not fitting in the church at all. I mean, they came, they disrupted our style of worship, they disrupted the dressing code, and because we were not comfortable with them, they were also not comfortable with us. So I visited the churches they went. To see what? Because if your children are eating in your neighbor's house, you need to know what they are cooking. So I visited some of them and found out what they were doing. Then I called a team with them and some of the younger people who were older than them a bit. And we had a conference, we agreed that we are not answering their questions, and we established a teens church, not youth church. And we allowed them to have their choir, their preaching, their order. And when they came to church, sometimes they messed it. They would. One day I came to church and I thought our church was on fire. They were having their own meeting and they had brought those things that smoke, and they were all over the church, and the volume was above our ears. But those crazy children today are pastors and elders and leaders in some of our churches. So I think that it is not new, but it is being different.
Thank you very much, Bishop. You've just reminded me of an experience I had many years ago. I had come to university, then I went home. Actually, we were sent home because of Sabasaba. We were home for a whole year. So I got a teaching job. And in one of I went to a church now near where I was teaching. And I was giving my testimony. I wanted to sing. So when I started my song, I've got like 2 lines. Amze stops me and says, that is not our speed. So he takes the drum and gives me the rhythm. So it was dang. And another dang. I did one nuggets of wisdom. Service of growth deserves changes. As you grow the church, increase leadership and expand structure. I'm at number 11. If your structure is either too small or too big, it will crash. Then I put this in my own words, but I just summarize that when you want to manage growth, do a SWOT analysis. Then he says, I am relieved to know that things can be done without communicating. Very important for a founder. And then he also mentioned that you can outgrow your role or your responsibility. Then the last one I got is, age comes with wisdom, and this wisdom requires to be shared. Through mentorship, I think he mentioned mentorship. So thank you, Bishop. Let's get back to you, Bishop Twinisi. How can churches establish effective mentoring programs to develop and nurture future leaders? And what role should current leaders play in this process? So nurturing future leaders.
I see, that's quite a tough one. Allow me to stand because of one reason. There was one time when there was a pastor who was conducting a wedding, and he spoke very softly in front, asking the person who was getting married, or asking the congregation, is there somebody who has something to say before we conduct this wedding? A lady raised her hand at the bar. So the pastor said, you have a question? Yes. So the pastor said, come forward, because we are not able to hear you from there, so that you can tell us why you are stopping this wedding. The lady came forward and said, I was not stopping this wedding. I did not hear what you said. That's why that is why, ladies and gentlemen, I'm standing. Because I don't want anybody to say. So I appreciate I respect these people. I think the question is leading to what I call, how do you consider yourself successful at the end of your ministry? Successful. What is it that you do? I have started a ministry, I've started a foundation, I think I've shared it with you. A foundation that is called Finishing Well Foundation. And the reason why I started it because I realized there are so many people who start well, live well, but they don't finish well. And let me tell you, the Bible says the beginning of something is more important than the end. So I started this foundation because I want people to finish well. And I challenge everybody here. Thank God for the way you have started well. Thank God for the way you have continued well. But the question is, do you finish well? I'm talking about success. Let me give you some quotes of success as I answer that question. Quotes of success that I've discovered. It is said, success is not what you have, but who you are. Did you hear that? Success is not what you have, but who you are. Because success is more important when it comes from you, who you are, more than what you're doing. Number two, success is not the absence of failure, but it is the persistence through failure. Success is not the absence of failure, but it is the persistence through failure. Why? It doesn't matter how thinking you are, how think you are successful in this world. There's a time when you fail. But success is not the absence of failure, meaning that you cannot fail, but it's the persistence through failure. May we persist even when you have failed, because you will always be successful. The other one is success is not measured by money, but the impact you have on others. The impact you have on others. Let me tell you, friends, may you at the end of your life, may somebody say, I'm glad I knew that's what that person. Because you have been a blessing to somebody. And indeed they are talking good of you because you have left a mark that they will never forget. Another quote. Success is not about how much you accomplish, but how you inspire others to accomplish. Success is not how much you accomplish, but how much you inspire others to accomplish. Let me tell you, may you realize that in this world, people are watching you. In fact, that's what they say, very interesting. Somebody said that in this world, everybody, with no exception, has secret admirers. You have at least 5 secret admirers. There are people who are admiring you secretly without your knowledge. In other words, if you have failed the 5 people. The 5 people will be very disturbed. That's why I forget a friend of mine who was in Uganda. And he was led to the Lord by a Mzungu, who was a missionary. One day that Mzungu backslid. And the person wanted to go and beat him. You will let me to the Lord and you will remember that. Why? Because he was very disturbed because of the way that person was not able to persist and influence. Success is not measured by money, but the impact you have on others. Another one, success is not about how much you accomplish, but how much you inspire others to accomplish. How much you inspire others to accomplish. May that be the desire of our hearts. May you inspire somebody else. When you leave this world, may somebody be so grateful because you were there. May somebody say that I'm glad at least so and so was here. And I'm glad today. Because let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, what you know today is because you learned from somebody else. Let's face it. The reason why you think you are wise is because somebody else made you wise. Because you listen to somebody, and that is why you are wise. Praise the Lord. Another one that says not about the number of times you fall, but the number of times you get up. Because you will always fall. You will always fall. But may you be somebody who will not just fall and remain there crying and be disappointed. Let me tell you, may you be somebody who wake up and move forward. I'm speaking like that because I have fallen several times as a leader. In fact, there's a time when people were watching, they came to me in a group and said that they should be afraid of. But, you know, they were challenging me, but I didn't say, oh, I'm tired, I'm used. Let me tell you, I woke up and I said, I'm not going to remain there. I'm going to continue to move forward. Praise the Lord. Another one says, success is not about about what you have, but what you become in the process. Not what you have, but what you become in the process. May God help us to be people who are always advancing. It doesn't matter what has happened to you. Another one says success is not about destination, but the lesson learned along the way. I like that. Success is not about destination, but the lesson you learn on the way. May you learn something on the way all the time. Listen to this now, that is very important, especially here in Africa. Success is not about the title, but the influence you have on others. You know, right nowadays, I'll never forget somebody who was introduced by the one who was leading the service and said, ladies and gentlemen, we are so proud and so excited today. We are somebody who is very rare. Somebody who is very rare. And in fact, for us to get in here, we are so grateful and so thankful. This is a man who is very rare to find. His name is Bishop Dr. So-and-so. The man did not stand. So the person who was next to him said, you are being called. He said, no, that's not my title. So this one said, what is your title then? I am no longer a bishop, I am archbishop. I am no longer a doctor, I am professor. So this one now when it says, we be changing the title. To tell you what, he is no longer a bishop, he is archbishop. He is no longer a doctor, he is a professor. So he said, ladies and gentlemen, that was slip of tongue. And let me now mention it. This man who is coming to speak to us, I've just come to learn, he's no longer bishop, he's archbishop. He's no longer a doctor, he's professor. Then he walked in style. Let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, success is not about the title, but the influence you have on others. The influence you have on others is very important. And therefore, I want you to know that we live in a world where you are being watched by many people. When you stand, people are watching you. And they take note of what you are saying. In fact, I was speaking when we were consecrating the bishop of Redeemed Gospel Church, the new bishop. And I was speaking about St. Paul when he was told Timothy, young man, study to show yourself to God. Workman, that need not to be ashamed, but rightly dividing the word of truth. I did it because I was speaking with, about a young man who was taking over the leadership of Redeemed Gospel Church, the son of Bishop Kitonga. I looked at him straight on the eye and I said, young man, I would like to give you the words of St. Paul. Study to show yourself approved of God. A workman that didn't need to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. And I think St. Paul told Timothy, he said, Timothy, until I come, continue to study. He said that continue to study. May God help us. Thank God because you have come here to study. May you continue to study. Do you know that in the book of Daniel, Daniel said, the book of Daniel chapter 9 verse 2, he said, I, Daniel, understood by books. May you understand by books. He said, I, Daniel, understood by books. It was St. Paul told Timothy. He said, Timothy, I in trust, I left some handkerchiefs, some things and all that. He said, bring with you, and books. The guy used to go around with books. May you continue to study, to show yourself approved unto God. Work one that need to be ashamed. Right in the word in the world of truth. I was telling them that in that meeting. I wish I had this words when I was young. I think I would be better preacher than now. Study to show yourself approved unto God. So I don't know.
Thank you.
But whether I've answered your
You've
question.
answered, Bishop. Thank you. Thank you. I know you have written what Bishop has said about success, but just to crown it all, finishing well is about your legacy.
Yes.
What kind of legacy are you going to be leaving? Bishop Mwalili, what is the founder's syndrome?
I have to be very careful because I'm a founder. Ideally, nobody wants to describe what they are sick about. But I hear the founder syndrome. Is this thing that you founded something and you are not ready to let it go. And it gets so bad that sometimes a founder, if they are not careful, they begin to destroy what they built, depending on how they do it towards the end, especially referencing what you say about finishing strong. So basically the founder syndrome is where you labor building something for so long that you brought it to a point whereby even though now it requires new eyes and new experience, you are so caught up with what you have done that although you started small, you think what you build is so big that you don't think you can go any farther. That's my own understanding of what founder syndrome is.
Okay. So then following on what you have said, what measures can be taken to ensure continuity and stability?
Yeah, I think the first thing that needs to happen is it has to come from the heart of the founder to know that they are transient. As much as they are the founder, that they didn't found, the thing they founded is not necessarily theirs. And this is particularly about the church. We know that the church belongs to Jesus Christ. And the church is not a family business. It is a church, people have come in, they have brought in their tithes, their offerings and other gifts to build it. And so I think for me the beginning point is for the leader to have it at the top of their head that I am transient. One of these days I will go either chronologically or something will happen and I can't be here anymore. So that's a beginning point. Number two is to create a system where new blood is coming in, where there's a clear progression of leadership, starting with those who have been there and finding a way of also helping those who have been there to also transition. Because again, there's a problem of leadership traffic jam, especially if there have been leaders who don't move. Because what happens, if there's no movement, then it means new people can't come in. So there is a way that the leader must have wisdom, like what Bishop Kitari just did, that what he did actually, he unblocked the traffic jam. Because if he's stuck at the bishop level, it means nobody else can become bishop. That's what it means. And so, and because he's too strong and wisdom demands that again, we also don't go away too soon. Because again, you also need to live a little to see what you have helped build. It's like telling a grandpa to die just because another grandkid has been born. I think he needs to be there. And it's possible to see the great grandkids. But the idea is to allow that transition, that you are having fresh leadership, that at every level, you have new kids coming in, you have teens coming in, you have youth coming in, you have middle-aged people coming in, and you have also the fairly aged and the I'm Generation X myself. The Xers are also there and moving on towards, handing over the baton. So that's my way of thinking of how we can replenish and ensure that institutions don't die by the founders syndrome.
Thank you so much. So more wisdom here. A founder of a church is a founder. The church belongs to God. Then a leader should always remember that they are not permanent. I put in my own words. Then the other one is a founder should not cause a traffic jam. Instead, they need to create frameworks for others to grow. Thank you very much. Last question before we give you a chance to ask your questions. This goes to Bishop Kitale. This week, sadly, there is a founder who died, Bishop Alan Kuna. And when his wife was speaking, she said, I don't know what to do because he was the vision carrier. So my question to you is, as a new presiding bishop, I'm correct in that, what is your vision for the church and how do you hope to ensure that it is achieved?
Oh, wow, that's a tough one. But right from the beginning, our church, for example, our church is not structured as an hierarchy per se. Although we are bishops, our church is very entrepreneurial in approach, so that we do not have everybody down, another one this level, another one this level. It's possible for this bishop to have more than the other one. It's possible to have this one to have more churches than the other one, depending on the capacities of different people. And we did that so that we do not kill people with capacity or put people fighting for areas they don't have competence. So we permit people to grow as per their capacity. So my responsibility in our church was the view that our mission is to equip the saints for the works of service. We do not believe that bishop's work is to do ministry, or pastor's work is to pastor, or evangelist's work is to evangelize. We believe that each one of those, I would say, key leaders, their job is to develop others to do what they are supposed to do. So my expectation is, as we build capacity in all the levels now, people rise up with capacities and competencies to carry different roles and levels. And we do those by training. Perhaps because I'm a teacher, there is my way of thinking is, we taught these people to do what they're supposed to do, as opposed to where I came from, where you say you have a calling, they throw you to the field. You say the field is big, or we throw you into the sea to swim or sink. I really don't like that. I think it's fun. So what we do is we have everyone understands what we are here for, and then understand our doctrine, understand our structure, understand our key functions, our vision, our direction. But never lose the fact that our main job is to equip the people we are leading to do the job. Because someday we will either not be there, or we will be there requiring different things. So once we have people prepared that way, we are not short of what will happen. For example, if guitar leaves, like we had an experience of our founder, Brother Kunari, I do not think there should be a vacuum unless things were not done well. If things were done well, there should be people who are closer to there, who understand what goes on. And I also think people should have a predictable way of, should I not be there? Yeah, like my bishops and my National Executive Council knows, should Gitare be called home, what would happen? Or should Gitare decide to go sell a beer? God forbid. But I'm saying we create a situation where if you cannot be your value, what should happen without causing chaos to the rest of us? But also, we have a church that are also protected so that somebody does not wake up and say, we don't want you. So I realize preparing for those things is not weakness. But most people wait until disaster happens and then they get out of hand. So, like my church, we have people outside our church who are senior ministers above me, that my people know if I cannot be talked to, they can talk to me. And every one of us should have somebody who can say stop doing that and you stop. If you don't have that, most likely you will commit suicide someday when you come to the top, when you don't know what to do. So I think that our main thing is we equip the saints to do the work of ministry. And as we equip them, we have a large repertoire of places to choose from. And one of my pastors has come to the age one of my bishops is going to need to retire. We have had to say, so what does that mean? What is supposed to be retirement? What is supposed to be retirement, right? Because I have found, especially in the Pentecostal church circles, we don't think we will move. And it's not abnormal. When I was younger, 40 years, 50 years, if you told me we can retire at 70 was Jesus would have come. I mean, it's so far, you know. But with the time I realized we need to agree that we will get it faster than we think.
Thank you.
And therefore prepare for them. And talk about it with your people so that they know. So that you end up there and then you are abandoned out of office, you don't know where to go and they don't know what to do. Like the Gen Zs are telling us, Luther must go, but they don't tell us after he goes. What happens?
Thank you.
And the church can be found there.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Bishop. So nuggets of wisdom, respect and reward people's capacities and competencies. Could we appreciate the bishops for the family? We now open it up to us. Any questions from the floor? Yes, sir.
Bishops, I want to celebrate you, but I have a question in regards to what is happening, especially in our Pentecostal evangelical churches. There's this issue of being celebrated, which is not bad, but the balance, the extent at which it goes to, between, maybe the question should be, how do we create a balance between being celebrated and honored and not become a personality cult figure? Because I think that at times is a bit of a challenge that we are facing in our churches. Even this issue of maybe being dad and mom and all that. And I don't know. I just need some clarity on that.
Thank you. Let's take as many so that we can divide them amongst the bishops. Yes, Reverend Jane.
Okay, thank you so much, bishops. Kindly advise a bishop who is a father. Like, at what point can one start preparing for exit? Or like, at what time would you advise a bishop that this is now time? Or max, though you have worked so hard, though you have really labored, that now you can start organizing and giving now the church room for others to grow behind you, so that you don't have vacuums.
Thank you. Any other question? Yes, Leanne.
My question is it good, in your view, when a pastor and the wife, they run two different churches? It could be the branch of the same, or they could have a calling of their own as a husband and a wife, and they go to different ways, they come home together again.
Thank you, Leah. I have 3 questions. Any other? Yes.
Thank you, bishops. That's a powerful dissertation. Mine is on matters capacity. As bishops and seasoned bishops and fathers in the city or in the nation, what approach should be taken by the church on this matter of succession, but in this direction, that when do sons ever grow also to become fathers? Do sons ever grow to become fathers? I know the pain of the founder that I serve under. I know the pain of raising ministry and putting in everything. It's not easy, you put in your mind and all that. I also know of cases whereby some founders have been, for lack of a better word, lucky to find maybe a son or a daughter who can continue their work. But we've also had situations whereby your son is not into that and almost like pushing them into that, yet they don't have the capacity like a Bishop Gitari has talked about. How do we encourage that it is okay to get another son who's not biological to take over the ministry?
Thank you. Yes.
Thank you. I've got 2 questions.
Ask one because of time. Ask the most critical.
Okay, my question is this, and this to our bishops. How, now you have grown, you are old, but we are coming behind you. You have balanced life, family, material wealth, and that success. In today's church, the young pastors, the middle-aged pastors, we can see some who have been so much occupied by material wealth accumulation, and it's like we are living the way. When we look at you, we see that at least you have maintained your way. How are you helping us, because we are in that bracket, not to lose focus on the calling of God? And attached to that, how it is attached, it's not the second question, it is attached to that. How are you helping the young pastors to fit in your vision and your shoes? Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, I know you had lifted your hand.
Okay. Thank you. Mine will go to Bishop Tumisi. And I thank God for your information. Bishop Gitari gave me the wife. Yeah, I married from East Church. And so my wife grew up in East Church. To Bishop Tumisi. There seems to be a generational gap. And that is why the Gen Zs, they are feeling that between us and them is a big generational gap. And you have been in the ministry longer than me, longer than most of us. Our generation followed you very closely. And that is why we never gave you the trouble that they are giving us. Even though we gave you a little bit. I'm sure, I know we gave you a little bit, but not as much as what now we are hearing, we are coming after you. My question is, in your observation, looking at us ministers that came after you, where did the axe fail? Where did it fail? Where did we lose it? Or where could we have lost it? Such that these children feels that they can walk into my church in Ruiru, preferring word, and they feel that they don't fit. And they feel that the way we are doing things, or the way this man, the old man is doing things, is not the way we want. And we are coming for him. In your observation, where do you think another generation of preachers lost it?
Thank you. We have 6 questions and 5 minutes to answer. So allow me to just handle this, and we see if we have any extra time. If we don't have Canon Paul Kariuki, you will understand us. And the other people who have lifted up their hands. Let's see if we can get to all panelists. So we'll start with the last one. Bishop Twimisi, your answer on the generation, and then also answer another question. At what point does one prepare for it? Those are your 2 questions. And then for Bishop Gitari, answer the question of whether it is good for a wife and husband to serve in different churches. And then the other question for you is, do sons ever grow to become fathers? Then Bishop Mwanili, the cult figure. I'm sure you remember the question. The cult figure. And then also, how are you helping us as people who, have grown in ministry, not to lose focus in the Hollywood world? So those are your 2 questions.
Yes, those are very tough questions. Now, where did we lose? You said lose what?
Yeah, where did we lose it?
Yeah. Now, since I started the ministry, since I started preaching ministry, I have discovered that if you want to be balanced in the ministry, in your home, or even in your personal life, I usually say there are 5 areas which you need to watch on a daily basis in order not to lose, as you say. The first one is that may you at all times learn to be careful and watch on your faith before God, faith to God. Why? It's because that is where we lose fast, when you are no longer connected with God. When you have some time, in other words, a faith in God. That's why the children of Israel were told, listen, O Israel, the Lord God is one Lord. May you love him with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind. The one way of losing focus is when you are no longer committed to God. Begin with God. God is number one. In fact, I usually say, may you love God more than loving his work. There are people who are so committed to the work of God that they have forgotten God. In other words, if you want to ask God, how is so and so? God is here, he's busy with preaching in Kisumu, but I'm not with him. It's because he does not conduct God. So your faith in God is very important. The second thing that you need to check on a daily basis, and I'm glad you have mentioned that where do we lose, is take care of your family. Let me tell you the truth. Many people who lose vision now are those who have lost, who have forgotten their families. I thank God for Benny Hill. I was one of the committee members of Benny Hill when he came here the first time. And when there was a meeting here in university. And you know what? As soon as we finished the meeting, he divorced his wife. Or even. People were amazed. You are a man who celebrated all over the world, but related at home. May I challenge you? May you never lose your focus in taking care of your family. That's why the Bible says in the book of 1 Timothy chapter 3, verse 8, I think, it says that if one does not know how to take care of his home, how can he take care of the church of Jesus Christ? That is where we are lost. Where you are so committed to the work of God and you have forgotten your family. In fact, there are so many preachers, and I know they are not here. Preachers who are celebrated in the church but tolerated at home. May you be celebrated everywhere, beginning with home. The third thing that is also that comes also as a result of losing your faith, your vision, is choosing the wrong friends. Let me tell you, I would like you to know that nobody force you, or rather nobody choose friends for you. You choose for yourself, but you cannot choose the consequences. The Bible says in the book of Proverbs, chapter 13, verse 20, it says that he who walks with wise men shall be wise, but the companions of fools shall be destroyed. Let me tell you, friends, you are what your friends are. I'm telling you, choose the wrong people and you will be wrong. You lose the vision. Why? It's because it is important to associate yourself with people who are going somewhere to go somewhere. Never take that for granted. Even choosing people, even ministers or even pastors who are not living right, you associate with them, you go wrong. You know, he who was wise man shall be wise, but the commandments of fools shall be destroyed. The other thing that has also made us lose the vision is finances. I'm telling you the truth. Finances, many pastors today are talking about finance more than the ministry. In fact, when I go to consecrate somebody as a bishop, usually people ask me, how much do you charge? I say, I charge nothing. I receive freely and I will give out freely. But I tell people, but I'm coming with a car, and the car uses petrol. Please, I cannot use water to travel. So please think about how you can give me some money for petrol. So let me tell you, one of the things that's what the Bible says, the love of money is the root of all evil. We have gone wrong because of money. I challenge everybody here today. May you not be so. There are people who cannot be able to come for your meeting unless you have deposited in the account over 100,000 shillings. Surely, we have sold the ministry. May God help us. The other thing, and I would like to finish with this, and you may think that is not even spiritual, because the way I explain, they don't go to be spiritual to begin with. Take care of your fitness. Take care of your body. You know what? There's no other body in the box so that you can go for it. In fact, people say the pastors die young. They say the pastors die young because they don't take care of the body. Take care of your fitness. May you eat well, may you dress well. Let me tell you, as I said, I'm now getting old, 80 years, and I'm still strong. Why? Because I'm taking care of it. The Bible says that God will exercise provident little. Whatever it is, you need it. Yeah. Let's not die young. God wants us to be busy in this world until the time comes when God, you remember Abraham. Abraham died at the age of 175, I think it was. The Bible says that he died in good old age. I like that statement. He died in good old age. May you die in good old age. Yes. And therefore, those are 5 F's. F number 1, faith in God. F number 2, family. F number 3, friendship. F number 4, finances. F number 5, fitness.
Thank you. Bishop Gitari?
2 questions. The first one is whether it's okay for the husband and wife to pastor 2 different churches. I don't want to make decisions for different churches, but it is not reasonable. It is not a good thing. It may be saying, number 1, they don't have enough workers. That's number 1, which says there is a failure in development of people. Or they are not able to agree together, which means there is a dysfunctional family leading the churches, and that's need to be sorted. So when that happens, unless it's an emergency crisis, somebody has died and somebody has to go to sort that while we are solving the problem. But long term, I don't think it's good for the 2 to be in different churches. The second question is about sons. The concept of sons and fathers is new in Kenya. In the early 90s, nobody called anybody father in Kenya. Up to around 1994, very few people in Kenya would even be identified as a father. And so there's a new understanding but it has come also with a lot of confusion. So, and so there are some people who are called fathers, and now we have city fathers, district fathers, national fathers, regional fathers. There's a lot of mess in it. I don't see how somebody can be a father if he's not a father. And I want to ask a very small question. I am a father, I have 3 children. What do you think they call me? Father. Does anybody here has a son who is 5 years? What does your son call you? Father also, isn't it? So you are not a father because you are appointed, and you are not a father because you are older than me. You are father because you are fathered. Fatherhood is a responsibility. Fatherhood is an input you put on people. Fatherhood is not a title. So, like in our church, I am called father, yes, but my pastors are also fathers. And we don't have grandfathers. The reason we don't have grandfathers is because when I go to God, I call him father. My son calls him father. My grandson calls him father. In the kingdom, we do not have grandchildren and grandfathers. All of us are fathers. Now, the difference would be the relationships we build. And we can build healthy ones or unhealthy ones. When I go to my legions, those bishops are called fathers. But their pastors are also fathers in their churches. Right? When I come, I'm not called the senior most father. Because they are there. But we know how to give honor to those who honor is due. And I want to say it is important for us to understand it well. Number one, fathers is not a forceful thing. I can't tell Mwalimu to call me son. I was his teacher, all right, but he's not my son. You know, you can call me Mwalimu, that's okay. Bishop Twimising, I have listened to him preach many times. He's not my father. He's an older preacher than me, right? But I know how to honor him because it is necessary to honor people who deserve honor. And honor is not the same as respect. Respect is because people do certain things. Honor is due people because of who they are, like our parents. Now, when will therefore our sons become fathers? Today. Today to me? When do they become fathers? Now. Okay? If you are going to be a father, you must produce. Get a son, he will call you a father. Then you know the responsibility of a father. A father gives identity, gives instruction, develops people. Father is not a title. Now, unfortunately, in our country, too many leaders, pastors, and bishops were not the fathers, they were bosses. And that's where we have a problem, confusion between father and boss. When your boss gets owned, like me, I have taught, and I've taught this, I've taught ILU. I'm no longer full-time anymore. Now, when I leave, my former principal or DVC cannot demand of me that I feed him because our relationship was contractual. It was not like a family. But a father, you have never heard of a former father. You can have a former boss. So I'm trying to say that subject is new. It needs people to talk about it soberly. And then the question of, so when will the son become fathers? I would say sons should be fathers now, technically because they lived, and not seek for your father to die so that you can also become a father. Because ideally, when an old man grows old, he does not need to vacate his home as a father. What happens is the sons also become fathers and they have their own homes, right? And there is no competition on you becoming your father's home owner. So I think if we understand things well, there's no confusion. But when the fathers are seen as people who are in high position, getting money, getting things, getting titles and positions, then we'll fight for that. But if fatherhood is seen for what it is, then your father or your person who mentors you, speaks to your life, supports you, helps you grow, not a person who has a title. That's why I have a problem with a city father. I have a problem with a city father or national father. Because what makes a person a national father and a regional father, and I know those titles are sweet to be called. I've been called those sometimes. I'm not sure they are said for a truth. If you turn around, a father is able to discipline his son, go try to discipline some of the people who call you father, and see what a mess they will do. I think we have a problem, and the other problem we have of those titles is the younger people have a problem where they think father means pay my bills, start me a church, basically baby me. That is not the right position. It's a misuse of things. So both the younger and the old need to come to an understanding of what fatherhood is, what it is, and what the relationships are. And then you don't look for the father because you cannot tell me to be your father.
Thank you. Bishop.
Yeah, thank you. Let me start with the one on balance ministry and helping the young upcoming ministers not lose focus and fit in our vision and choice. We can only do this, in our opinion, in three ways. Number one is for us to just be an example, because example speaks by itself. So if there is anything that's valuable that young ministers can see in us, then they can try and emulate that and possibly find how we have gotten where we are, if we really have gotten anywhere enviable. And part of it is like just in a seminar like this, where we come here, just open our hearts to you and share with you. There are things we can't tell you here because there's no time, and there are a lot of nitty-gritties and details that you can only get if you have a heart-to-heart chat with a person. And that is the responsibility of upcoming people. I can't just look for every young minister around telling them, now sit here, I need to talk to you. They've got to sing me out, recognize that there's something, and when they come to me, they sit down and create, let me use a difficult word, an osmotic gradient for them to receive knowledge, whereby they don't come to start advising me. We have a problem nowadays. Young people, we sit with them and they talk 90% of the time. So when I meet a young man like that, I just keep quiet, because I realize this one is not ready to learn, because they even want to teach me how to do things. So example is number one. Number two is mentorship. Mentorship can be either structured or informal. Structured is where people come, sit and talk. Personally, I'm not into structured mentorship. I believe in very informal, where like I'm going somewhere, I get one of the young people I'm mentoring, I say, I'm going to Meru for a mission, I'm going with you. So we go, we talk, we eat together, I see how he eats, he sees how I eat, we interact, he hears how I preach, I give an opportunity to testify, he learns a lot of things. That's how I am. So if you are a young person and you need to tap into this level of wisdom and grace, then you have to create an opportunity where someone can help you. I'm trying to be quick. Number three is teaching. Teaching is important, what he talked about. There is need for us to create opportunities, and again, when we get time like here, when we speak, it's like we're teaching. There are things we're saying, and Madam CS is actually analyzing and picking up gems and throwing them to you. That's important. So I believe those are the three ways that can be done. How do we avoid personality cult? Now, let me say why we have personality cults. There are two reasons. Number one is when an individual has a desire for being a celeb and they need power and recognition. So the first problem is personal, individually, that Mwalili here, I don't mind power, I don't mind celeb, I don't mind being surrounded, I don't mind being lifted up. That is personal. The other one is fans. Fans are people who admire you. And he said there are 5 people, at least 5 people admire you. Those people, if they decide to make you an idol, they will idolize you. So how do we deal with this? For me, I think it just starts with the individual. you must refuse to be a celeb. If you refuse, it won't happen. Because all of us have the capacity to be celebrated and made big. And you know people that are big, but they have refused to be big. God gave me an opportunity, and I'm finishing this, in my early years, not really early years of ministry, from 2003 to around 2012, God gave me a very unique platform on Christian television, the first ever. And I became a very famous person, extremely famous, to the extent that sometimes I get shocked. I meet people and they want to shout that they have met me, and I'm wondering, what is wrong with this person? I am just a simple, ordinary Mkamba boy who, if he was not saved, he would be probably a witch doctor. You understand? And so, what I have done personally, I have refused to accept that I'm a celeb. Although there are people who really think I'm a celebrity. I meet people, even in airports, and they say, I must have a selfie with you. And they take a selfie and they throw it to the mother, and the mother goes, hey, I am just seated with him in the plane. And then the mother is saying, you are so lucky, and I'm thinking, why are they lucky? So it must start with you. You must decide, do I want to allow people to lift me up? Because the problem with being celebrated is when people lift you up, when they are tired with you, they will drop you down. So allow God to lift you, and when He does that, the Bible says you just humble yourself. Finally, we must agree as ministers, whose glory is it? Amen. If you can get that right, you have no problem with being celebrated. You will refuse to take glory everywhere, including your own church. Where in our church, people want to do many things. The other day, they wanted to buy me a big cathedral so that I sit in a big seat in front with everybody. And I told them, if you do it, I'm going to sit at the back. And I'll be coming to preach from there. Allow someone else who needs to be celebrated here to come and sit here. I'll have no problem with it. I know you want to honor me, but for me, this is not the kind of honor I want. I don't want it. And so maybe I'm funny, but that's me. So if you really want to be celebrated and allow people, they will really lift you up. But you must refuse to be a celeb in your own head. If you become a celeb in your head, it will happen. People will lift you up, they will get you guards, and they will start rolling carpets on you. And before you know it, it's no longer Jesus, it is you.
What a way to finish.
Wow.
Whose glory? Chairman, we have finished our job. Over to you.
Thank you. Let's appreciate that good team. The people that will take up their seat, I'm sure you want to take photos with them.
Selfies.
Selfies with Bishop.
Send to our mothers.
So I want to invite Jane, who will tell us what is going to happen between now and the next few moments as we hold on the bishop, just briefly with us here. Thank you, Jane.
Okay. Wow, good afternoon. It has gone well, eh?
Yes.
What do we give such wonderful people? What do we give them? A combination ya zote. Lakini wanaonekana kama ni wanyayo. Tuanzie with nyayo. Ngapi? Tatu. Let's go. Moja. Pili. Funga. Fungua. Wow. But because they use money, let's give them a few dollars. I'm saying a combination ya zote. In absentia. So what does it Thank you so much. Wonderful, wonderful. How we wish we had the whole day for this kind of an interaction. But now you know. Now you know. They have helped us to know a few things that we didn't know.